In this demonstration, I'm going to build a project, rebuild a project, and build a model. Before I perform any build operation, I need to make sure my project is set to synchronize database on build, since it contains a database element, in this case a table. To verify this property, I'll right-click on the project, select its properties option, and I can see that yes, synchronize database on build is set to true. So we'll right-click on the project again to go to the build options. We have build, rebuild, and clean. Let's pause for a moment to discuss these options. When I perform a build operation, the compiler optimizes the process by only compiling system elements which have changed since the last build. The system can do this because it caches the previous build results. If I ever have a problem with the previous build's cached results, I can manually clean the cached results and run another build operation to generate all of the compiled artifacts again. The rebuild option combines the clean and build steps, so we don't have to separately run clean and build. Let's go ahead and build the project first. We can see the build output in the output window, and the build in this case has succeeded. If I run this again, it will happen very quickly because the results have already been cached. Now let's rebuild the project. This will perform a full compile, which will take a bit longer. And we can see additional build output because the cached elements have been deleted and are now being regenerated as part of the compilation process. Now that the rebuild has completed, let's take a look at how to build a full model. To build a full model, we go to the Dynamics 365 menu and select the Build Models option. We get a list of all available models in this system, and we can build as many of these as we want simultaneously. In our case, we're only interested in the Development Basics model, so I'll find that in the list and select it. But before I run the build, let's take a look at the Options tab to see how we can configure the build process. We get several options here. The first one is the Build Precompiled Form option. This option will generate static HTML for each form during the build process, and that allows faster rendering of forms at runtime. So it's generally a good idea to leave this option checked. The Build Report option will build the SSRS reports in the system. If your model contains reports, you should leave this on as well. Run best practice checks is off by default. This is useful if you want to see the output of the best practice analysis for the full model compile. In my case, I'm going to leave this off for expedience. The synchronize database option will synchronize all of the database related objects from the AOT with the SQL Server during the compile. If your model contains database related objects, it's generally a good idea to leave this box checked. And finally, the build cross-reference data updates the data for the cross-reference feature during the build. We generally want to leave this on so we can navigate between related elements quickly. Now that I've configured my options, I'll go back to the Packages tab. And the last thing we're going to take a look at is the Build Referenced Packages option. If we want to make sure that we've compiled all of the other packages referenced by our own package, we can select this option and it will populate this list with all of the related packages that need to be built. In my case, I just want to build my package in isolation, so I'll go ahead and uncheck this and start the build process. While the build is running, we can expand the Details tab to view the output of the build process. We also get it in the output screen in the background.